So now we're recording. Waiting to connect to Facebook. I apologize. Okay, we can begin. We'll just start. We'll upload it later. Agreed? Okay. I'll introduce who everyone is, okay? Okay. Hi all, everybody who is a part of the community. We're celebrating Dance Day. We're really happy it's International Dance Day. International Dance Day has a purpose. It does have a purpose. Before, I used to participate in different dance groups. I used to dance different groups that I used to participate in. International Dance Day was established in 1982 by the International Committee of Dance and Theatre Arts. They established that. And the purpose was to make sure that they have encouragement and benefits of dance and knowledge of dance. It was approved, and they have dancing, different activities, benefits, workshops, different opportunities to learn and celebrate. Some people are part of acting, theater. Some go to workshops, they learn different dance moves or traditional dance. Some also poetry, culture, that's a part of it, communication, celebrating the history of different countries and different groups, and starting to have emotive dancing, showing sadness, happiness. So today, I was thinking possibly we have deaf community members who dance. We also have people who are representing dance. We have one from Edna Manley College, visual and performing arts. We asked her to participate in this discussion because there are 3 deaf students who have attended Edna Manley in Jamaica. And here in the US, they have different dance universities that you can go to. You have Gallaudet, you have different deaf people who go to different groups. You don't have to hear, but you can feel it. It's recognized internationally. And it's beautiful to know that Jamaica, an island, has that access to dancing. And it's now open and everybody can participate. And Trinidad has, but Jamaica has. So now we want you to explain your experience. How was it, teaching or, being a part of the deaf community, connecting dance to that and working together for the purpose of the deaf community. So welcome, Doreen. Welcome, Doreen. She's responsible for theater arts at Edna Manley and Edna Manley College in Kingston, Jamaica. Let's clap the rain. Welcome, Sophia. Sophia, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, I can. Thank you. I am Sophia McCain. I am the head of dance education at the School of Dance at the Edna Manley College. So I am a lecturer at the Edna Manley College. I also teach children and I love dance education. And I have Christoph, Damani, and Kimberly, who are our three deaf students. They are students at the School of Dance. So that's a little about me. I don't know if you need anything else. That's it.
Okay, that's great. Yes. So we'll go ahead and start. So thank you, Tony Aiken, who is a Jamaican interpreter. Thank you for providing access. So now we will give a little bit of background of who you are. Doreen.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to this conversation. As was said, I am head of drama and education department at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts. I've also had the pleasure of working very closely with Sophia McCain, and that is how I also had the pleasure of working with the same three deaf students in dramatic productions, Christoph, Damani, and Kimberly. And so never working with them before and found myself in this situation. It was really a very good experience working with them. And so I was really forced to document some of our processes so I could really share it with other people.
Okay, yes. So that's a start. We'll have the deaf community probably, more participating in Edna Manley, working together. There are probably a few challenges, a few quirks, a few struggles will happen. Probably some frustrations in the beginning when it just started. But after having discussions and after questioning how this can happen, solutions are formed and become partners. And for Edna Manley and the deaf community, we recognize that it's common knowledge now. In Trinidad, they're trying to do it. They're trying to work together with deaf students. So I have a few questions that I want to throw out at you. I want to talk with Doreen first. Recently, you explained that you had experience working with Edna Manley. How long have you been there?
I've been at Edna Manley since 2015. So we're looking at about 8 years thereabout. Yes.
How did you feel? What year did the deaf community enter the deaf students enter your school, and how did you feel when they first entered?
Sophie, could you remind me of the year that the student stuff started? Maybe that was what, 2018?
Yeah, I feel like it maybe I can't remember for sure. I know it is at least maybe 5 to 6 years ago.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
Christoph is online.
Hi,
Christoph is one of our deaf students. He has actually joined us, and the man should be joining us as well. They could probably remind us of what year they would have started Edna Manley College.
Christoph?
Let me see. Let me send him a message to see if he's seeing us to make sure he's there.
But I believe It would be about 5 to 6 years ago, I believe, because I know Christoph is in his final year and the degree would be 4 years, so he's in his fourth year. And I
Yes.
believe he had done, I'm not even sure if he did a year prior. So it may be safe to say 5 to 6 years, but they could confirm for sure. Yeah.
He said to give him a minute.
Okay.
He'll respond in a minute. Yes.
So how did you feel about the deaf community entering the school?
When I just heard before I started interacting with them that they were there, for me, I was a little shocked. And I was really concerned because I was saying to myself, but how are we going to teach them? Because I'm thinking that, okay, they're unable to hear, we are unable to sign, they're dancing, how are they going to hear the music? How really are we going to do it? And when I heard that we also had an interpreter that was working with them, I said, okay, that should make communication a little easier. But I was really also very curious as to how they would navigate a space. As a teacher, how am I going to navigate a space with them in there and not necessarily having the necessary tools and skills that are specifically geared towards teaching the deaf students? And so I was a little shocked. I was also a little concerned, but I was also very curious about how we were going to navigate this space with them.
I don't know if I'm able to jump in on that, but as Doreen was saying, it really started with a dream and a vision of a student of ours, Chantel Robinson. So she was the forerunner because she was doing the education program and she was also learning sign. And she was learning sign language and she was doing dance education, and she approached the head of dance education at the time, that was Mr. Marlon Sims, who is now the dean. She approached him and said she wanted to do her teaching practicum at Listomere Gilby High, which is a school for the deaf. So she had the vision, and the it says a child shall lead them, the young people will lead the way. She asked if it could be done, and the School of Dance supported and said, sure, if you're learning sign and you're also learning how to teach dance and you want to do it at that high school, we will support. So at that time, I was a part-time lecturer and I would follow them to assess her. So I would go with them to observe her teaching the deaf students. And we were always just totally blown away at how great they were and how she was able to communicate using sign, using drumming, using different symbols, charts, because she was also looking at how to teach. So she was exploring all of that. Her lesson plans had to really involve them, and she was getting better at her sign. So she started to feel a lot more comfortable. And when the experience was done, needless to say, she did very well on her teaching practicum and graduated from the School of Dance. But after that, she still wanted more. She still wanted them to have that experience even after she had finished her course. And so she approached us. I think at the time, Pierre Lemaire was the director of studies at the School of Drama. He also worked with a deaf community in terms of theater arts and acting. And he was also instrumental. She did a service learning project. She came to the campus. They had a whole immersion, a day of theater arts, dance, drama, costume, and set design. She did a whole immersive day with them. And even after that, she didn't stop. She said, you know what? I would love some of them that I was teaching at Listomere, they wanted to dance. I distinctly remember Damani when I was watching the teaching practicum at that time. He was a student. And she said they really love to dance, and some of them want to come to Edna Manley College. And the rest, as they say, was history. We really got good support from admin. And, you know, it was one of those things where you can't plan for it. No matter how you try, the real experience is in taking that dive. And so for us, the spirit of it was we wanted to have the deaf students in our community. We weren't sure how. And we knew we may make mistakes and there might be a lot of hitches, but it was really that vision of the student that then trickled down and came to the lecturers, to the school, approached the senior administration and said, we're willing to make this work. We're willing to try. We're willing to see if we can let this work. The college definitely had to get funding, which was difficult, but we needed an interpreter off the bat, right? And so it's been one of those learning curves where we're still learning, and we definitely wouldn't want the relationship to end when our 3 deaf students are gone. So it is putting all the things in place to allow it to be a fully established setup. So it really starts with just a dream, and then the rest kind of is working itself out even now. Yeah.
Right. You said that there were certain frustrations and you figured out how to go through it, and the dream happened, and now everything it's not perfect, but it's working out. And it shows that deaf people we can break down barriers, we can access anything, we can do anything. And at first it might be a thought process of, oh no, you can't, but after experiencing this, you realize that they can. So I agree with everything that both of you said. We have 2 people who just popped up and want them to introduce themselves. They are the students of dance. Can you please introduce yourself quickly? Hi, everyone. I'm Christoph. I started Enderman in 2018. So it's been a total of 5 years. I will finish this May. I will graduate this May. I will receive a bachelor's in performing arts, performing creative arts. Yes. Damani. Hi, everyone. My name is Damani Hughes. I've been at Edamani from 2018, and I'm a little bit behind Christoph. I think I have 2 more years left for me to graduate. Same degree, but I'm persisting and I'm trying to finish and continue through. We have to continue. You have to continue until you finish those 2 years. Okay, thank you for helping the deaf community to see that they can participate in something like this. It doesn't matter if you're on a small island, it can happen. Jamaica has it. We know that frustrations happen. We know that probably there are struggles with interpreting and different situations, but at the end, you'll feel, you know, complete. All of you will feel like, wow, finally. So recently you explained you wanted to, what was one of the most challenging things that you had experienced with the deaf students? You said that you had experienced some challenges. What's the most challenging thing you experienced?
Well, I think for me, the most challenging thing with the deaf students was really to communicate clearly, because I really didn't want them to misinterpret whatever it is that was being said. I didn't want them to feel left out of anything. I didn't want them to feel as if they did not fit in. So for me, it was really about trying to find the best ways to communicate clearly with them. Yes, I know we have interpreters, And when the interpreters are not there, I want to be able to see them and still communicate with them without having the interpreters around, still making them feel comfortable, still making them hear what I have to say, because I wanted them to feel normal in this space that we're in. I didn't want them to feel as if they were add-ons, they were burden. I just wanted them to be comfortable. And so my challenge was really about finding the best ways to communicate with them and making them feel at home and feel comfortable within the space.
Yeah.
Yes, communication, I know, is a real challenge, and communication access in school is also a challenge. Having availability to communication is a challenge. Sophia, you were saying something?
Yes.
Yes, I was saying that was my number one challenge as well. Wanting to be as expressive vocally and wanting them to understand what I was saying and also to understand them fully. It took a lot of learning. Like, I didn't realize that we had our own sign language. So learning about JSL and even certain do's and don'ts when communicating with the deaf. Like, that was a whole orientation that we had to learn, right? Even to say the word deaf was a challenge because, you know, growing up in Jamaica, a lot of times they're trying to pacify it. So they will say something like hearing impaired, and just learning that the deaf community is okay with being called, they are deaf, right? There's nothing wrong with the word deaf, because in Jamaica, you know, we try to shun away from saying deaf. So even I know we had certain assemblies where we had persons who would come in and they say deaf. They are deaf. It's okay. And we learn about deaf pride, and then we're like, oh, okay. We quickly forget that kind of challenge that we had at first, but it's a big thing, especially in our culture. You know, I mean, even something like understanding that we have to use our facial expressions and we have to just to be receptive. That's something, you know, we like to talk and we walk on and we move it and we talk it, and it's like you have to literally stop. You have to make eye contact, right? And you have to take the time. But I think there was this genuine care. I can speak for like the college community, even the School of Dance. They are like, when you see Damani, Christoph, Kimberly on stage with the hearing dancers, you can't tell the difference, right? They interact with the students. Some of the students, they're like signing, and I am in awe because they have not gone any formal lessons, but they're just assimilating. They're learning to communicate. You know, they're always willing, sometimes them body up, but they're always willing to remind you of what's the sign, and you know, they'll take their time with you. And another big challenge, so it's been a lot more highlights than challenges, for sure.
Yes.
It
Yes.
has been so much more. It's life-changing. A big challenge that came upon all of us was COVID-19. I remember how I felt when we had to go online. And even when I came back and I was like, I've forgotten all of my sign, all of the sign, that all the things we were picking up, all where we were when we were face to face. Then you had March and we had to go home and shut down, and the pandemic was here. And even coming back into face to face, it felt like I knew I was signing more, but it's just the online and trying to even use the technology. That was a big challenge, because if we thought the entire world got a blow with COVID-19, what we got when we were like further steps backward, like starting over, okay, how do I engage with the deaf community over Zoom, right? Camera has to be on, you know, I have to be sure, the interpreter has to hear me, and then they have to see the interpreter clearly, you know. So all these things, you know, even in WhatsApp groups, we don't send voice notes, you know, we have to type everything out because that is it. We want everybody to understand and everybody to be on the same level. So there are a lot of little things that we adapt along the way. But I would say to any organization that has a thought, just open your doors, just try. Because you can't you can't see all the hiccups before you try. You can't, you won't envision what will be a challenge. So you literally have to go in with the spirit of, we are going to try to make it work. And there are several organizations in Jamaica that have been supporting the deaf community and have been showing others that it can work. We just need to have a little more patience with ourselves and really commit to inclusion. But it's been amazing. I could talk forever about it, but I will not.
Yeah, one of the things Sophie said it about how supportive the Edna Manley College community is. Listen, when those students take these deaf students under their arms, they just need to know what the challenges are, and they buy to whatever it is that is there. They know that the students have these challenges and this is how we're going to help them to navigate, and then you can just leave it to them, right? The students take them under their wings, take them into their arms, they look out for them. I mean, when I have rehearsals with them, the students are always saying, okay, where's the money? Where is Christoph? Let us find the man. Let us find Christoph. Let us put them here. This is where they're supposed to be. So it's almost as if the man and Christoph they don't have to do anything for themselves, because students somewhat take them on and the students will do everything for them. So the support is just absolutely amazing and overwhelming. Believe me, it has been such an amazing experience having to work with these three students. It's unbelievable. I've never experienced anything like this. And I believe it is one of my highlights as a teacher and as a theater director.
I like the part that you said, the challenges were there, but the highlights were better. And I agree with that. We have to think positively and create resources when challenges approach and find solutions. So it seems my questions, you have basically answered them during speaking, but one thing that I wanted to ask Sophie and Doreen, some students don't have financing and they contact me and they want to finish the course. Maybe they need money for interpreters, maybe they need money for costumes, maybe they need money for resources, but there's a financial barrier. And we contact different organizations willing to support. And then when you say you're deaf and they're at Edna Manley, there's some questions behind that. There's a challenge because they don't recognize that deaf people can actually participate in Edna Manley College. So how do you suggest we approach that barrier?
I think platforms like this are helpful, and also it just needs more visibility, because persons will think, but they can't hear, so how can they dance? And you use your body to dance. So in essence, someone who is dancing knows that, yeah, they're thinking of hearing the rhythm, but we could actually all start dancing now, right? And we have an internal rhythm always. Everybody has a heartbeat. Everybody has tempo being kept in their pulse. And everybody has feelings and emotions. So you can move even if you can't hear externally, right? Because it is also a method of communicating what it is you want to say. So I think it takes visibility, it takes education. So it takes more interviews, and possibly when we have shows, we have certain things on YouTube channel, for instance. They just had their Dance Works season of dance where they were in performance for all of last weekend. I'm sure they're happy for the break now, right? But they did about 5 shows last weekend. I think it's getting more of the word out. Social media play a big, a big role in it. And it possibly needs a face, like a popular known, influencer type that is supportive of this venture to bring awareness to it. So somebody with a big platform. So I think there are strides being taken, but a lot of it needs to be education, right? The college community is fully aware. Every student on the campus knows we have deaf students, down to the persons who are ancillary, they know them. The canteen, those who serve at the canteen, colors, they're able to take the orders and do all the things. So the community, right? And maybe in the environs, the security on campus, maybe, certain taxis or so that drive along that, maybe the drop off and pick up. So there is a community that is, growing in terms of, okay, an awareness, but I believe visibility and more education, more things like this that will bring about, that kind of audience, because the funding is needed for both deaf and hearing. So I can imagine how the pool is small, even when it comes to those who are going to support deaf students. But I think it's such a phenomenal and cutting edge thing that we should be able to get the word out, to get all these funders who would want to support something like this, to get more students to complete courses. Sure. It's definitely needed.
So I do agree with Sophia. We do need the visibility, and platforms like these, like we're doing now, that's quite important. And so there has to be a deliberate effort at advocacy, educating people, because the truth is, once we hear deaf, you just automatically think, okay, you can't hear. So you're not associating deaf with music. You're not associating deaf with movement. And so we have to be deliberate about our education. We have to be deliberate about our conversations. We have to be deliberate about the different people whom we approach. And more, I'm seeing more deaf people in different spaces. For example, and this is not a plug for Toyota Jamaica. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I do know that a part of one of their coffee station that they do have is run, I think it's called Deaf Cam or something like that. It's run by deaf people, right? It's run by deaf people. And I think moments like these call for partnership, because that is how people will know what is happening within an Edna Manley College space. This is how people will know what's happening in a Toyota Jamaica space. This is how people know what is happening in another space, and how it is that we can partner together, pool the resources that we have together, and then distribute those resources so that everybody gets a chance to benefit. So we have to be deliberate about our education. We have to be deliberate about our conversations. We have to be deliberate about our interviews, and we have to be deliberate about our partnerships. And we have to be deliberate about whoever we want to select to be the face of the deaf community that can help to bring this kind of awareness that we need to ensure that the partnership works.
And educating family members as well. Yes, partnership will help to sensitize different groups. Maybe we could have family partnerships. There can be an exchange in partnerships. It doesn't have to be one person receiving. Maybe there can be an exchange. Maybe we have certain resources that is needed, and you have certain resources that we need, and we can do an exchange. But before I move on, I want to question the two students. I want them to share their experience, what their journey is like. And did you feel scared? Did you feel nervous? I want to know what your experience was like. I have many experiences, but I want to know your experience at Edna Manley, what it was like. So please share. Were you nervous? Or was it smooth? What was it like? In 2018, I started Edna Manley. I felt a little awkward at first. I started to compare the different dancers who were very good, and I wasn't that good. But I decided to be positive and do what I can do and not compare myself. I know my movements, my times, my skills. So I kept practicing, kept learning. And also communication access was just one of the biggest challenges for me. I want to communicate with all the hearing students, but sometimes it was a little bit frustrating. Sometimes the interpreter was there, sometimes not, and it was overwhelming. Sometimes the conversations were good, and when the interpreter wasn't there, it was overwhelming. Sometimes we'd have to rely on the students, sometimes we'd understand, sometimes we wouldn't understand, but we had to be patient and move through the process. And then we got used to the system, knowing how things worked. And it's truly a great experience for me and a lot of experiences for me. It was really good and it was hard as well. Damani. So since I joined Endamani in 2018, at first, I was like, wow, what a big campus. And I saw a lot of hearing students and just the three of us as deaf students. And I was wondering, why are we here? And I felt awkward because everybody was looking at us and a little bit nervous. And then people started to hear that 3 deaf students were there. And, they started getting excited. After that, they wanted to meet us. They wanted to know how to communicate. They started using their phone to text back and forth, to exchange messages. It was a little bit hard, but looking at the School of Dance, the first thing that we did was ballet. I was like a little bit awkward and nervous about that. I didn't know what to do, didn't know what to expect. Went into the class and they said, I didn't know how to do the foot poses or certain things. And after a while, I got experience, got used to it and gelled well. I'm sure, different dancing, you have different dancing techniques. So sometimes when you go in one, you're like, oh, this is not what you're used to. I'm used to a different type of dance, like Jamaican dancing. But it's true. You probably were nervous. You didn't know how to move your foot a certain way or to pose a certain way. So I can imagine. I have a few more questions left. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at the questions and I'm realizing that we have basically answered all of them. But thinking, Sophia said, it's key to share your experience. After these 3 students leave, what do you think would be a good change for you to make the school system better for the next set of students who are coming in? What changes do you think you would need?
That's an excellent, excellent question. And I want to say we need to continue. That's where I am right now. We need to continue. So currently, what I've been doing along with PA, Bridging the Gap. So PA is an organization here that is, championing the cause for the deaf, and they offer interpreting services, and they even do sign language classes, and they have another arm, which is PA Deaf Dance Company, right? So they have a deaf dance company. So I currently work with the Deaf Dance Company. We have a partnership that happens. So as the head of dance education at the college, I have partnered with PA, Deaf Dance Company. So they come in once a week to the college. So these are students, varying age groups, right? Not necessarily students doing a degree. And they come in for dance lessons for their dance company. The college would partner with them. We'd offer the space. So they have a studio space with mirrors and bars. They have access to, you know, the music, so forth, the teachers, because the college students who are training to be dance educators, they know design the curriculum as part of their assessment, as part of the classwork. And so they teach PA Deaf Dance Company. PA Bridging the Gap offers interpreting services. So Stephanie will be there as an interpreter. So it's, for want of a better word, a barter system. So they benefit because they get dance lessons and they get a space that they can learn and do all these things. And we benefit because we learn how to better teach deaf persons how to dance, right? We learn how to, you know, how to communicate better. So this is outside of Christoph, Damani, and Kimberly, who are full-time students at the college. So the idea of doing that is to continue that connection with the deaf community so that even after Christoph, Damani, and Kimberly are graduates and they are gone back into their community now to be teaching dance and doing choreography and having summer schools and workshops, that the college is still involved in partnering with these institutions. We had our Dance Works showcase or performance, and we made a special effort to invite Listomere Gilby, so the School for the Deaf, and also the Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf, which is another institution off Malines Road. So we don't want it to just be like it was just a one-off thing, that there were 3 deaf students at one time at the Edna Manley College School of Dance, but to actually create those inroads where there is a long-term partnership. So we will always be looking at dance and the deaf community. And I know SKEEP, or that's our continuing education arm, they are also very, you know, excited about the different things that we can offer, the different products that we can offer. So it's really, yes, Christoph, Damani, and Kimberly were the first 3, but they won't be the last 3. So the idea is to continue that so we can have dance for children, and other persons may not want to do a degree, because not everybody wants to do a degree. You maybe want to do a short course, or you maybe just want to do dance for leisure, for exercise, right? And it's to assist with that connection. So the idea is to keep the connection going, right? So that we can continually have that access for deaf persons. And that's, I'm speaking specifically to dance, but I'm sure the college community is a lot more open now. For instance, if there are persons who want to pursue drama or visual art, that there, because we have the experience at the School of Dance, we can replicate it to the other art forms and really, really stand behind what our vision and dream is.
All right, thanks for that, Sophie. And I endorse everything that would have been said by Sophia. We definitely need to continue, but there are also some internal things I believe that we will also need to do. And so part of the continuity is to continue to engage with the deaf community. It also means that we need to promote more of our programs to members of the deaf community. The deaf community needs to know that I too can be like Christoph, Damani, and Kimberly, where I can apply to an Edna Manley College and I'm able to fit into any of the arts program that's there. So we have to deliberately promote to that community as well in order to get them in this space. I also believe that internally, to make ourselves a little more equipped, is that we internally need to share our pedagogies. So in terms of when they just started, the students just started, to how they ended, and the teachers who had to interface with them theoretically and practically, what were some of the things you learned along the way? What were some of the strategies that you used that worked, that did not work, and share some of those with the community. I didn't have to teach theoretical courses to Damani, Christopher, or Kimberly. I took them through a practical sessions, through practical sessions, production and performance. But there are other teachers or other lecturers who had to do theoretical courses, and I'm sure those challenges would have been different from the challenges I would have encountered. And so the way they overcame those challenges and the approaches that they used to teaching, I'm sure they probably would have been different from what I would have employed. And I believe we need to share those internally to keep the training going so that we are all on the same page, so that when we get another set of deaf students, we have this kind of knowledge that we can utilize, and it would have been birthed out of our own experience coming into this space. I also believe that we need to learn to sign. Right? I have been bothering Christoph and Damani that yes, I've picked up a few words along the way. Unfortunately, I knew a few words before my interaction with them, but I've been telling them that I need to learn to sign. And I think as a college community, we all need to learn to sign, because that's the first language of communication for the deaf community. And if we are going to immerse ourselves and invite them into our space, we need to be able to communicate with them. And so we have to first take that step to learn how to sign so we can communicate with them quite clearly. And so we remove that barrier. Yes, not everybody will get it, but I think a great percentage of us need to be able to. So in the event that we don't have an interpreter immediately, right, we still have resources that are close by that we can pull on. For example, in the last production we did, initially when we just started, we had no interpreter when we just started our rehearsal process. But I still went for Dominic, Damani, I still went for Kimberly, I still went for Christoph, and I said, listen, I want you all three in this production this year. You're coming to dance for me. You're going to go and teach some of the dances. You're going to do some choreography. I basically pulled them in. This was not my first time working with them, but I enjoyed working with them because I believe that they're so talented. They need to be seen. And if it's left up to them, they might want to sit in the background, and that's not where they belong. They don't belong there. And so I went for them. So even without the interpreter, we found ways to navigate and communicate using gestures. It was just really, 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 really good. And so I think going forward, even without them, we need to learn how to sign. There's no two way about it, right? And then we find ways to just show how it is that as individuals, this is how we are navigating this space going forward, and how we can expand the deaf community within our space to the other art forms outside of dance.
I fully support what both of you said. I have a secret tip for you. I agree. The interpreter, if you have the staff there who can sign, you probably won't need an interpreter, and you'll be able to communicate with the students directly. You won't need to depend on the interpreter. I want to share a little secret with you. You can use the teacher. The teacher at the school can my computer freeze. I'm so sorry. After they've graduated and they've become successful, the deaf students, you never know. Maybe they could be a part of your teaching team at the Edna Manley College. The history, they have the knowledge. You won't even have to worry about interpreters, because you will probably have a deaf teacher who can communicate and help with that process. So, and they will feel a connection with the teacher, because they'll realize that this person understands me and I understand them. Maybe that's something you can think about in the future, right, Damani and Christoph? Yes. Yes. You're thinking about it, or you're not sure? Maybe that's one change that could be considered, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree, because Christoph, I was doing so, because we recognize the need for sign, And it's something that would have to be built in to our curriculum. I think like it would almost become where every student has to learn it, just like you learn a foreign language. That's the only way we're going to get it. Or we have so many classes available that all staff, whether you're a secretary or a lecturer or a teacher or a tutor, you have access to these classes and you can sign up and go to classes. So at one point, I think last semester was better. This semester, Christoph, has been bad. But I was going to classes once a week and we were having sign classes and, doing even like tests. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous. And, learning vocabulary and trying to remember it to sign. And it felt like baby steps, but it was very encouraging. And even because that was a voice off zone. So you didn't need an interpreter because you didn't need to use your voice. Like everything you're going to learn via whiteboard, we're going to write it and we're going to sign and we're going to practice. And even that could be something where an institutional change, right? It would require funding. But if we could get the funding for it, we could have Christoph, if he's going to graduate, he could possibly be a tutor for sign on the ground that persons could. So there are a lot of ways in which what you're saying is definitely in line with what I am thinking. There are possibilities there. And we've overcome a lot of obstacles. And we know funding is going to be a big one, but where there's a will, and it's something that's needed. So we can try and figure it out. Yep. So I'm seeing the same way. I'm seeing it.
We have to create different strategies how to remove barriers. Bill Clinton said, it's a little bit, I'm straying a little bit, but Bill Clinton said, America was going through an upset at the time, and there was a little bit of issue, and Bill Clinton, the president, said, everything that is, barriers are not permanent. There will be changes. So we just have to give it time. So we can't keep complaining about a barrier. We just have to find a way how to break down the barrier. So bringing Christoph as a tutor is a good idea because that will be breaking a barrier and that would not be permanent. So you have to think about creative ways to break down barriers. And maybe bringing in that deaf person, people will realize that there was a barrier before, but now there's change and there's no barrier. As you said, maybe a tutor at the Edna Manley School for dance, and then maybe more students will want to come to Edna Manley because of that. So again, barriers are not permanent. We have 5 minutes left. I have one more question. I really enjoyed you sharing your journey, everything that happened. People who are interested in the community members, the partners, different organizations, how can you pull them to participate? How would you get them to be involved? People who are interested in becoming partners. And
all right, so people who are interested to partner with us, send us email, call us at the college, visit us. We have the conversation. If you're not in Jamaica, we're open to have the conversation to see what you're willing to offer, because the truth is there are many things and many programs that we offer and there are different needs. And so just come to the table with us for a conversation to say what you're willing to give, what our needs are. And so we will then be able to work it from there in terms of what is needed. We're a visual and performing arts institution. The current deaf students we have, they're into the performing arts. We have a lot of performing arts activities. And so the support would be needed in that regard, in those particular areas. within the performing arts of various kinds of resources. If you just want to be an advocate for the students, we have a space for you. If you want to contribute something, whether it's financially to how we work, we have something for you. If it's a way in which we can help to promote their career, or where do they go after an Edna Manley College, an avenue and a pathway, and you have something, we're there. If you have a group of deaf students that you want to sponsor for any of our programs, we're welcome to that kind of partnership. So just reach out to us at Edna Manley College. We're open to the conversations. The heads of schools are open to conversations and dialogue. The administrative staff, open, the admin staff, we're all open to these kinds of conversations. So just let us sit and talk to see what the needs are, what our program offerings are, what the vision of the institution is, where we'd like to go with these deaf students, and what it is that you think you can offer based on what those needs are and the vision of the institution. And we can take it from there. But we're ready. We're so ready. I mean, this for us, I think, is a major research. We want funding for research. So listen, come and partner with us, because it is through the research that we are also able to have the facts, the empirical data to say to people, between 2018 and X years, we had these deaf students. These were our approaches. These were the challenges. These are our findings coming out of it. And this is a program that we want to build on the research. And that's the kind of cutting edge research that's coming out of the Caribbean and would be coming out of an Edna Manley College. And we really want to get that research going. We want to put it out there so everybody can see it. We want it to become an international thing where people can recognize that here in this small island, here's this college as the hub of performance and visual arts, and there are great things that's happening here. So come to us. We will also come to you. Just send us an email, call us. We are ready.
Yeah, definitely. I endorse everything that Doreen just said. And I want to say the communication lines are open. So we don't get it right necessarily all the time, but what I appreciate from our deaf students is that they are always willing to share what they feel about something. And it is for us to understand that that is also helpful. So if you're in a class and they're not having the best experience with content or the way it's being delivered, there's always that way in which we can wheel and come again. We can try again. We can come together and say, okay, it's not working, you're not understanding, or it's not coming across right. And I think having those channels open, even after they're graduates, that they're able to come in, take classes, to be a support for other deaf students that will be there, that's very helpful, because we can think we're doing with our best intentions the right thing. And then if they don't have a space where they feel free to share that, this is not working, or this is hard, and this assignment is not fair in this way, then we have to be open to that growing. And I think I just want to say, as we close out, I want to say huge big ups to Christoph, Damani, and Kimberly. I don't think we say it enough. They are really the champions in all of this. Yes, the college would have taken on a big task, and yes, lecturers would have had to figure out, if you don't have an interpreter, because we can't necessarily afford an interpreter for 3 different classes simultaneously. A lot of times we're kind of trying to get another interpreter, trying to get funding for a second or third, but we've worked together. But I think the champions of this, for want of a better word, experience, going forward, the real pioneers have been Kim, Damani, and Christoph. I mean, they'll be in the Hall of Fame at the Edna Manley College, you know what I mean, as the trailblazers, because as they started to share about coming into a hearing space and feeling nervous, no matter how nervous I would have felt, it couldn't compare, because in that situation, I would have been majority, right? So it would be similar to me taking myself and saying, I'm going to work for a university that has deaf lecturers and students and workers only, and I'm the only hearing one. You know what I mean? That is to think of that is blows my mind. And to see where they are right now, I don't think there's anything they can do. There's nothing that you can't do. You get through this, you get this far. There is nothing that you can't do. I think they are really the stars in all of this. And I'm just grateful. As Doreen said, this will be like a highlight of my teaching career experience, dance experience, you know? And then it makes you think, okay, then what about the blind community and other communities? Because if this has made such an impact, you know, the sky is the limit. So I just want to say to them, you've been doing a great job and only greatness is going to follow. Only greatness. So I'm grateful to experience the greatness in these three.
Thank you, Sophie, thank you for highlighting how much of a champion they are, because I think they have changed the face of our performances, the feel of our performances, because all our events, we now consider always having an interpreter, and that was not something we would have considered before. So having, you know, being thrust into this, having them there, our events include that, but even our performances include sign language. I remember the last graduation production and they were singing the song and Christoph was like, you know, Christoph started singing and signing, and you know what? We just decided, you know, we have to sign. The signing must be in the performance because Christoph said so. And he taught them what the sign language for the song was. And then everybody was signing. Damani had missed that rehearsal. When Damani came to the following rehearsal and he saw the signing, Damani's face lit up. He was so excited to see it. And that for me felt good that we were doing something right. And so our performances changed just because of them. They set the pace, they dictated what's supposed to happen, what it is supposed to look like to ensure that they cater for that deaf community. And Christoph is adamant that for his graduation, there need to be signing, right? So he has already laid that claim down that there needs to be signing in the performance, there need to be signing overall. And so thank you guys for just rocking with us, rolling with the punches, being a part of the community, and just doing what you do best, just dance.
Okay, thank you. What's your comment to the two deaf, for the two deaf students, what's your comment to the deaf community? What would you suggest to them about going to Edna Manley? Repeat, please. If students have doubts and want to go to Edna Manley or go to college, what would be your suggestion to them? Maybe I would tell them, if you want to go to Edna Manley, go for it. I've done it. No, it's your time. There is a place for you. It's open for you. They will help you, and they will become like family support. That's something that I would say. Damani. I would tell them, listen, 3 of us is not enough. We need more people to participate. And once you have the skill, whether it is performing arts, dancing, visual arts, come to Edna Manley and you realize that you can do anything, you know? You can do anything you want to do. It's not only the School of Dance, but all the other courses that are provided, you can participate in. Thank you for commenting. No, thank you for participating. We want our audience to experience your journey. I went to Lisa Mary Gilby, graduated with 6 CXCs, left Jamaica, went to the US because there were barriers. Felt like there was a lot of people telling me that I can't. So I looked for a better opportunity and an easier life. So I left Jamaica and I realized that Jamaica is now having changes. We're having deaf students in dance school and we're making steps. And yes, there are challenges, but there are less now. We have deaf students going to UA, deaf students going to UTech. some deaf students are teachers now, some deaf people are teachers now. So how can we work together? How can we empower the different groups? As I said before, barriers, Bill Clinton said barriers are not permanent. They will be broken down. It's just your love, your motivation, your passion, and your belief that helps us to build a better world. Thank you. I am Leonie Johnson. I'm the president of CD. Thank you, Tony Aiken, for interpreting. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Doreen. Thank you, Christoph. Thank you, Damani. And thank you for being a part of International Dance Day. Yeah. All right. Bye. Thank you.